Moody and Sister Tracy here with you, and our guest tonight on the phone right now from the band ADRENALIN O.D. It's Bruce Wingate. Hey, Bruce, how's it going, man?
Hey, Reverend, what's up?
I am having a blast, and we are happy to have you here, man.
It's great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, for sure. Are you in New Jersey?
No, I actually moved out of New Jersey years ago. I moved up to Connecticut in the early 90s, and then I recently, 3 years ago, moved down to Central Florida.
Oh, okay. I have a daughter that lives down in Florida, actually, as well, down in Plant City, Florida.
Oh, okay, I'm familiar with that. I'm literally, like, right in the middle of the state. I actually moved down here to take care of my mom. She's 84 years old.
Well, good for you, brother. My friend Chance also did the same. He's down with taking care of his ma. He's down there in Brandon, Florida, and he's listening right now, as a matter of fact.
Oh, awesome. Good stuff. Actually, Dave from AOD lives in Orlando, so we do hang out on occasion. Of course, pre-COVID, obviously.
Yeah, totally, dude. Does AOD actually still technically play out? Are you guys still a band?
Well, this is the thing. We literally were supposed to be finishing up our very first ever European tour this week.
Wow. Too bad.
Yeah, we had a whole thing set up based around Rebellion Fest in Blackpool, and we had about 10 other shows set up. We had originally planned to go in the 80s. We had a tour set up, and it just fell through for whatever reason. I mean, we did the U.S. extensively, played all up in Canada, a whole bunch of places, but we just never got off the continent. And it was what we were all, I mean, hopefully we can scramble to get it back on, but it's typical that it would be a worldwide pandemic when we're ready to go to Europe.
Oh, man, that is so
very typical for the band,
Just frustrating, man. I mean, not to be selfish because everyone's been affected by COVID, obviously, but still,
of course,
you still have a right to be let down,
Yeah, sure. I'm trying not to revel in it too much,
Yeah, geez.
I think it's terrible that this is going on, but from our end, it's kind of. That sort of sad sack reputation of the everything bad happening to the band. I'm finding great humor in that and great solace in that.
Now, have you guys had a history of having weird luck like that or something?
We just we made some dumb moves in our time. I mean, granted we were young and dumb, but it's what can you do? These things happen, or these things don't happen. You know what I mean?
Right. Well, I've always enjoyed your tunes, and it's funny because back in 1985, I was fronting a band called Bloody Mess and Hate, and you, of course, were in ADRENALIN O.D., and we're on a bill together in Champaign, Illinois, kinda. It fell through, and I ended up doing a short impromptu set, and then you guys played. I don't know if you remember that or not.
I have vague recollections of, it's funny, there are things I remember in great detail, and then there are things that are just a blur. But I do sort of remember that one of the people traveling with us accompanied you on drums, perhaps?
Yes, I think so.
I see.
That's right. That's right. You're right. Because instead of being called Hate, we were called a name I can't say on the radio, followed by the word blood.
Okay.
So we had peeing blood. We'll call it that. Instead of the bad word, it's peeing blood is what we called it. And it was myself and Jeff and one of your guys, and we did like a short set, probably like Louie Louie or something like that for 20 minutes.
That was probably Lenny who played in Bedlam, among other things. Later went on to play in Bedlam and a whole bunch of other bands. He's with the Accelerators right now.
Okay, well, I'll have to remember that for future stories, man.
Yeah.
And then what's funny is the same year, I think it was either before or after that, I run into you guys again up in Kenosha, Wisconsin, like 4 hours north, and we're on the bill with you guys again, and it was hilarious, man, to see you guys again.
I sort of remember Kenosha a little bit, but...
One of the best punk towns in the country, man. And back in the 80s and 90s, it was really happening. It still is. There's still a scene. But back then, it was really, really happening.
The Heartland, man. That's where all the good stuff was, I love all the bands out of the Midwest for hardcore and punk rock. It's just much better than the stuff on either coast, usually.
Well, I've always said that too. The West and the East Coast had more culture, more stuff to do, and they had a lot of revolutionary things happen. But in the Midwest, the people were just crazy for rock and roll. The fanatics for rock and punk rock were just off the charts in the Midwest.
That's true. we were always very surprised with the first couple times we toured, where we'd be in the middle of nowhere, and people will have traveled 8 hours just to come see the show, just because there was nothing going on by them. You know what I mean?
I do. Who are the other Who are the other guys from Adrenaline Overdose? Just to give them some equal time.
That's Paul and Jack. They're both still in New Jersey, and then Dave's in Orlando. We've sort of been doing, a reunion every few years. The last two that we did were in, I want to say 2016 maybe, or maybe 2013. I can't really remember. But it was a while. Nice.
And how many albums do you have out? I think I counted 5.
That sounds about right. They've all but one have been reissued on Beer City.
Yeah, I noticed.
In this past year, actually.
Yeah, I wanted to thank you, too, for the autographed copy of Cruising with Elvis in Bigfoot's UFO, the album.
Very, very fitting for today.
I also, back in the day, I don't know what happened to my copy of Wacky Hijinks of AOD, but I can't find it in my collection, and it sucks, man.
Well, I'll take that to under consideration.
Oh, yeah, man, because I remember that bright pink cover, and I used to play that all the time with my Decry and other records, and then...
That's one thing I really enjoyed about our, not to brag, but one thing I really enjoyed about our band was that we do the most unpunk things in order to be even punker, I guess, like to have a bright pink album cover.
I really enjoyed that cover, man. It was just, I loved it. It was like a train wreck, a car crash. You just couldn't help but look at it.
And then the second one was bright yellow with flowers on it.
I remember that. And you also had an album called Humongous Fungus Among Us.
That was the one.
That's a great one. People still... I got a text message today from a guy in Los Angeles named Bill, and he's listening right now. And all he said was, "See you in church tonight, Humongous Fungus Among Us."
Nice. Way to go, Bill.
Yeah, so he was waiting to hear your interview, apparently.
That's great.
Yeah, I was checking out like some of your history, and I was surprised because I've got certain records that I love, and when I talk about compilation albums, especially, there's a bunch of them like Hell Comes to Your House and Punk and Disorderly. But one of the series I like is the Rat Music for Rat People compilations, and it was neat to find out that you guys are on Volume 3, which I don't have. That's another one.
That was really fun to do. That's actually one of my favorite AOD tracks. It was Sightseeing, and we recorded that in the midst of our tour in San Francisco.
Interesting.
So, obviously playing, as you know, when you play the set every night, it just gets super tight, and we actually should try to record as soon after a tour as possible for that very reason, especially when you're playing the real barn burners going a million miles an hour.
Yeah.
It's good to have them all tuned up and good to go,
Yeah, you're all practiced and everyone's all ready to rock.
Yeah.
How did you guys get the band name Adrenaline O.D? It's a great name. How'd you come up with that one?
I actually wasn't in the band originally. I only joined after the first year, so I have no idea what was going on. I was blissfully unaware of that whole process, living in Waco, Texas for about a year. Oh, no. You've just opened the door to another set of questions. So back in 92, I wrote a song called Murder in Waco that I wrote about the David Koresh situation down there, which was pretty political and got a little bit of press. Were you living down there during those days of David Koresh and that stuff? No, I predated all that. I only lived there very briefly with my brother right after I graduated high school. He was managing a bookstore down there. And he didn't stay in Texas long either. He's been a long-time Twin Cities resident. Okay, I thought maybe I could get some dirt out of you, but that's that. No, we did a brief spell down there. He was there first, and then I joined him for about barely even a year. And it was during that time when I left New Jersey, the sort of pre-AOD band had just broken up. And then by the time I got back, they had started up AOD at that point. So yeah, no, I missed all the messy stuff. I was just able to waltz in when the original guitar player Jim Foster quit. Whatever happened to Jim Foster? Other than being in Electric Frankenstein, I'm not sure if he's still playing now. Huh. Jim's a good guy, very talented guitar player too. Trippy, man. And just off the top of your head, it's generic, but I'm genuinely interested in knowing your very favorite punk rock bands. Well, you know how these things are. They change according to your mood, Totally. If I'm angry, I might listen to Negative Approach.
Good choice. How about the Nihilistics?
Always, my buddy. Always a classic. The man I've deleted more comments from on Facebook than anyone else.
Ron Rancid.
That album is phenomenal. That first album of theirs is just such a great record. They were one of the genuinely scary bands to go see back in the day.
No, I never got to see them. Were they really intense live?
Yeah, they were really intense, and I think they're sort of ahead of the curve in a way that it wasn't all just bar chords, and the bass line following it. The guitar and the bass often worked against each other. It was almost like post-punk in a way.
Oh, yeah, and the guitar player is so good in that band,
Yeah, Chris was great. They were all really good musicians, actually.
Yeah, it's a good band. And, Ron, to his credit, came on the show last week, and just about every single interview we do, it seems like somebody tries to slip up and cuss, which, thank goodness they don't. But Ron kept his word and didn't utter not even close to a single cuss word, man.
There you go. He's a gentleman. Don't let him fool you. He's a total gentleman.
Well, he told me that he's never really done an interview where he didn't cuss, so I think it might have been a first for him, man, which is great.
Wow. I listened to a bit of it. I'll have to go back and see if I can make sure there are no cuss words in there. I like, if I'm in a good mood, I'll listen to the Rosillos maybe. AOD were all big Rosillos fans. We love the Dickies.
Oh, I love that. Stan Lee was on the show not too long ago.
Awesome. Great live band. They're still a great live band.
Yeah, the Rosillos and Dickies, man. Such great high-energy stuff, man. Fun live.
Oh, I agree. Yeah, totally agree. I like all kinds of stuff. My musical taste just got wider as I got older. So.
Are you a fan of the Tubes as well?
That really wasn't my bag.
Yeah, it's something I kind of miss, too, to be honest.
Something about it just, maybe it was a generational thing. I didn't quite get it.
Yeah, it's weird. They had a lot of commercial sounds, but a more weird stage presence. It was strange. I didn't really get the mix,
They're one of those bands that had a sort of a second career when MTV started, too,
Yeah. Do you think that AOD will continue? I mean, granted, this COVID thing has got us all kind of not knowing what the hell's going on in the future, but if things get chill and you're able to, do you think you guys will record anything or go on and do that European tour?
I'd like to think we've at least got another tour in us, but I mean, who knows? I mean, no one can even guess what the future of live music is at this point,
It's so weird, man.
It'd be cool to record an album, but, honestly, I've done a lot of other things. We've all done a lot of other things after AOD, so it's not like we're hurting for, an outlet. You know what I mean?
I do, man. Yeah, it's always great to, imagine that soon we can get out and see live acts again, but I just don't know, man.
Yeah, I know. It's tough. It's really tough.
Well, dude, it's always great to talk to my heroes and the people that I admire in punk rock and rock and roll. And we're not really a talk show, but every week we do like to, dedicate a portion of our show to chatting with somebody. And today it was a genuine pleasure to rap with you on the phone, my brother.
I really appreciate that. Thanks for having me. And if anyone wants to go to my Bandcamp, Bruce George Wingate at Bandcamp, there's a ton of music. There's decades worth of music on there.
And Sister Tracy, did you have anything you'd like to ask or say before we take off? Sometimes she'll pull something out and sometimes not.
Well, I just had a question that I usually ask a lot of people. It's something that's not even really associated with music, but if you had like a second opportunity or a chance to do something other than what you've done with your life, what career do you think you would have went into if you had went into something else, like another love, your other passion?
Oh, I'd be a homicide detective.
Yeah, that's an interesting answer. That's one of the more interesting answers I've gotten, actually.
I come from a huge law enforcement family.
Well, that's cool. Yeah, I don't think I've ever gotten that answer before. So that's like, do you read books on the subject? Is that like a hobby of yours?
Oh, yeah. I mean, That's what I grew up around, that whole culture. And, we grew up with true crime. It was all, books around the house, police reports around the house. My dad was a police photographer, too.
Oh, wow.
Forensics.
Yeah.
Yep. So he put in a good almost 30 years in North Jersey. Luckily, my folks were able to retire young. They were able to enjoy 20-something years of retirement bliss in beautiful Florida.
Nice. That's very cool. Well, man, we really appreciate you taking the time to talk to us tonight. We totally, know that your time is valuable, and we appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, thanks for the great AOD memories and the music. And again, keep me in mind if there's a reissue or any copies of the Wacky Hijinks vinyl laying around.
I can take a hint.
Rock and roll, bro. Thanks so much. I appreciate your time, Bruce.
Bye-bye now.
Yeah, take care.